Jera stood at the back of the human classroom, her 3 fingers clutching her data tablet tightly. Her skin, pale and slightly shimmering, marked her clearly as not human. She was an alien exchange student from the planet Virel, and this was her first time attending a human university. The classroom was buzzing with noise, human students chatting, laughing, and throwing paper balls at each other. It was messy and noisy, so different from the strict and silent schools on her homeworld. The human biology professor entered. He was an old man with a gray beard and kind eyes. The class quickly became silent. He began the lesson by writing on the board, human reproduction, biology, and behavior. Jera tilted her head. On Virel, this subject was serious and complex, taught only to mature scholars. Yet here, young humans were laughing and joking about it. The professor started explaining how human reproduction worked, how males and females could mate at any time of the year. Jera's long ears twitched. She thought she misunderstood the words. She checked her translator device. No, the words were correct. Jera slowly raised her hand, unsure if it was allowed to ask. The professor noticed her and smiled. Yes, Jera? Do you have a question? Jera stood up, her voice clear but careful. Professor, did I understand correctly? You said that human males are always fertile, without any mating season? The classroom went silent. Every student turned to stare at her, some grinning, some whispering. The professor chuckled softly, clearly used to such curiosity. Yes, that's right, he said. Human males can produce offspring at any time. Unlike many alien species, humans do not have a fixed mating season. Jera blinked rapidly. Her mind was racing. On Virel, the idea was unthinkable. Her people had only one short mating season every 7 years. It was tightly controlled, with special rituals and strict biological limits. How does your society survive? She asked again, her voice trembling slightly. Wouldn't this constant fertility cause chaos? Overpopulation? Uncontrollable urges? Some students laughed, but the professor raised a hand to silence them. An excellent question, he said. Humans are unique because even though we are always fertile, we've developed culture, ethics, and personal choice. We don't just mate randomly. There are social rules, relationships, and emotional bonds that guide us. Jera sat down, slowly, still confused. Her mind could not accept this strange truth. On her world, biology controlled everything. Without it, how did humans control themselves? After class, some curious students gathered around her, asking her about her species' mating habits. Jera answered politely, but her mind was elsewhere. She had to know more. Later that night in her dormitory, Jera sat alone with her data tablet. She searched the galactic network for information on human reproduction. She found many books, research papers, and even bizarre videos, some educational, some very strange. She recorded her thoughts in her personal log. Day 1. Of observation. Humans have no mating season. Their males are fertile at all times. This is both fascinating and terrifying. How do they maintain balance? I must investigate further. The next day, Jera approached the professor again. Professor, I still don't understand. Can you recommend me more material? Or maybe, is there a special class that teaches about human control over their fertility? The professor smiled kindly. Jera, your curiosity is admirable. There is an advanced seminar on human behavior and biology. I'll give you special permission to attend. But I must warn you. The deeper you go, the stranger humans will seem. Jera's eyes glowed faintly with excitement. I am prepared. I want to understand. The professor nodded. Very well. Meet me tomorrow evening in the private lab. There are things about human biology that the general students do not know. Some truths are not taught openly. Jera thanked him and left, her mind buzzing with questions. What could be stranger than being fertile all year? What other secrets did humans hide? As she walked through the campus, watching human couples laugh together, touch hands and kiss, she wondered, was it only biology? Or was there something deeper in the human connection? That night, before sleeping, Gera whispered to herself, if humans are always fertile, what else are they capable of? And with that thought, she drifted into a restless sleep, eager yet nervous for the next day's secret lesson. Gera could not sleep well that night. The professor's last words kept echoing in her mind. Some truths are not taught openly. What could be so secret about human fertility? She had traveled light years from her home planet, Varel, to study new species, but nothing prepared her. For this, humans were unlike anything she had read about. She woke up early, her mind still heavy with questions. The sky was dark, but her curiosity was brighter than ever. She sat by the window, watching human students walking hand in hand, some laughing, some looking deep into each other's eyes. Gera whispered to herself, if they can mate any time, how do they control their population? Why isn't Earth drowning in billions more humans? She opened her data tablet and started searching the galactic library. She typed, human fertility cycle. How do humans avoid overpopulation? Emotional bonds in human mating. Each article gave her some answers, but it only made things more confusing. Some humans use science tools like medicines and procedures to control birth. Others relied on personal choices or social rules like marriage, but there was still something missing. Gera stumbled upon a strange quote from an old human philosopher. Humans are driven not just by biology, but by heart and mind. She stared at the sentence, repeating it in her head. What did it mean? On Virel, mating was just biology. It was decided by time, hormones, and ritual. But humans? They chose their partners based on emotions, feelings, and something called love. Gera's pale cheeks warmed up just thinking about it. Love? That was a foreign word to her people. They knew of cooperation and friendship, but love was unpredictable, dangerous. Her curiosity grew into an obsession. She started following human couples around campus, observing their behavior secretly. She watched how they laughed, hugged, and whispered into each other's ears. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they kissed. She wrote everything in her notes. Humans show physical contact even when not mating. They seek connection. Comfort. Warmth? She even watched human movies late at night. Films full of romance, heartbreak, and passion. The emotions were raw and messy, yet strangely beautiful. Gera was so deep in her research that she didn't notice her roommate Lisa, another alien from a different world, watching her. Gera, are you spying on humans? Lisa asked, laughing. Gera's ears twitched in embarrassment. I am studying them. For science. Lisa shook her head. Be careful. Humans are strange, but once you get too close, you might end up becoming part of their mess. Gera didn't respond. She couldn't stop. The more she learned, the more she wanted to know. Finally, the evening came, the time for her secret lesson with the professor. She arrived early at the private lab, a place beneath the biology building that few students even knew existed. The lab was dark, filled with glowing screens, strange equipment, and shelves of ancient human books. The professor stood by a large holographic display showing images of human anatomy, DNA strands, and charts of emotional behavior. Welcome, Gera, the professor greeted. Are you ready to learn the deeper truths about human fertility? Gera nodded eagerly. Yes, Professor, I must understand. He smiled, but his eyes held a warning. Be warned. Once you know, you can't unknow it. He tapped on the screen. A graph appeared, showing that human males produce sperm all year without pause. But then another chart appeared, this one tracking emotions, relationships, and social bonds. You see, Gera, biology is just one part. Humans are guided by emotions. Their need to connect is both physical and emotional. They don't just mate for reproduction. They seek companionship, understanding, and love. Jera stared at the data, her mind spinning. But why? Isn't that inefficient? Wouldn't that create chaos? The professor chuckled. That's the strange beauty of humans. Their chaos is their strength. They form bonds that go beyond the need to reproduce. It creates art, music, poetry. Even wars, Jera shivered. Wars started because of emotions? That was dangerous knowledge, Professor. Is it true that humans can bond with other species? She asked quietly. The professor paused, then nodded slowly. There are rumors, yes. Some humans have formed deep bonds with aliens. In very rare cases, there are stories of hybrid offspring. But it's not just about biology, it's about the connection of minds and hearts. Jera's breath caught. This was bigger than she thought. What makes humans so different, Professor? She whispered. He looked at her seriously. Humans adapt. They don't follow strict rules of biology. They create their own paths, driven by emotions and will. That's why they are both dangerous and incredible. Jera stood there in silence, her mind flooded with thoughts. She had come for simple answers, but now she had only more questions. As she left the lab, she looked at the humans on campus with new eyes. They were not just biological beings, they were mysteries wrapped in emotion. And deep down, Jera knew one thing. She was getting too close to understanding them. And that was a path she might not come back from. Jera arrived at the secret laboratory again the next night, but this time, something felt different. The air was cold, the lights dimmer, and the atmosphere heavy with silence. She stepped carefully between the strange machines and glass tanks, filled with preserved creatures from Earth's history. At the center of the lab, the human professor waited for her, but he wasn't alone. Two other humans stood beside him. One was a serious-looking woman in a sharp black suit, and the other was a tall man with a stern face. Jera's steps slowed. Professor, who are they? She asked nervously. The professor sighed. They are from the Special Human Research Council. They heard about your curiosity. They insisted on being here before I showed you the next part of the truth. Jera's heart raced. She swallowed her fear. Am I in trouble? The woman in black shook her head. No, Jera, but the information you seek is not public knowledge. Most aliens don't know about it, and for good reason. What reason? Jera asked, her voice low. The woman leaned forward. Because if the galaxy knew everything about human biology, some species would fear us even more. Others might try to use us for their own gain. Jera stood straighter. I still want to know. I came to learn. The professor nodded. Very well, but remember, knowledge comes with a cost. He tapped on the console, and a giant holographic display appeared. It showed a timeline of human evolution. From primitive beings to modern humans, each step marked by sudden, unpredictable jumps in intelligence, creativity, and adaptation. Humans evolved differently, the professor explained. While other species needed strict biological controls like mating seasons to balance their survival, humans developed adaptability. Our males remain fertile year-round, but our minds evolved social structures, emotions, and intelligence to manage it. Jera tilted her head. I understand that part, but there must be something more. The professor's face grew serious. Yes, there is more. Our fertility isn't just about reproduction. It's about genetic adaptability. He tapped again, and the hologram changed to display DNA strands, glowing with strange patterns. Human DNA is unstable but powerful. When exposed to new environments, new species, even new challenges, it can adapt quickly. It changes, adjusts, and sometimes merges. Jera's eyes widened. Merges? You mean with other species? The professor nodded slowly. There have been experiments. Unofficial, hidden. But in some secret programs, humans have successfully produced offspring with other species hybrids. They're rare, unpredictable, but real. Jera took a step back. But that's impossible. My people tried cross-species experiments for centuries. It always failed. Because your species relies on strict biology, the woman in black said. Humans rely on something else. What is it? Jera asked, her voice barely a whisper. Emotional resonance, the woman replied. It's not just about compatible DNA. It's about emotional connection, psychological bonding. When a human forms a deep emotional bond with another being, their biology listens. Jera's mind was spinning. She remembered watching humans laugh, touch, embrace, so much emotion in every interaction. Are you saying human feelings change their biology? She asked. Yes, the professor said. Feelings, attachments, desires. They can trigger changes in our DNA, opening possibilities no other species can match. Jera trembled. That single quote's dangerous. If humans can adapt to any species they connect with, then they could spread across the galaxy in ways no one could predict. Exactly, the tall man said. That's why this knowledge is forbidden. Imagine if some power-hungry species tried to breed humans with themselves to gain human adaptability. Wars could start not for planets, but for human DNA. Jera felt her knees weaken. She sat down on a nearby chair, her hands shaking. She had wanted to understand humans, but now she was afraid of what they were. But how many hybrids exist? She asked. The professor looked at her sadly. No one knows the full number. Some say they live hidden on distant colonies. Others believe they've been erased to protect the secret. Jera stared at the hologram, the swirling DNA, like a galaxy of possibilities. What if? What if someone wants to awaken this power fully? To make humans able to bond and merge with any species freely? The woman in black's eyes turned cold. Then the galaxy would never be the same again. And many would die to stop it or to control it. Jera stood up, her mind heavy but clear. She had come here just to answer a question about human males being fertile. But she had uncovered something far darker and stranger. As she prepared to leave, the professor gave her one final warning. Jera, be careful who you share this with. Knowing the truth can make you a target. Some species are watching and listening. Jera nodded, her heart pounding. She stepped out of the lab into the cold night air. Staring up at the stars, she came to learn about human biology. But what she found might change the fate of the galaxy itself. Jera couldn't think straight. She wandered the campus at night, her thoughts spinning like a storm. She had traveled across stars to study humans, thinking they were just another strange species. But now she knew better. Humans were dangerous, not because of weapons or technology, but because of their biology, their emotions that could reshape their very DNA. The secret of human males being fertile all the time wasn't the real mystery. The real secret was their power to adapt, to connect, to merge with other species through bonds no one fully understood. Jera looked up at the human sky, the moon shining bright. It was beautiful, but it felt deceptive, now hiding truths that could destroy galaxies. Suddenly, her data tablet beeped. A message appeared. If you want to know more, meet me at the observatory, midnight, come alone. There was no name, no face, just those words. Jera hesitated. This could be dangerous, but curiosity burned inside her stronger than fear. She had come this far. She couldn't stop now. At midnight, Jera climbed the hill to the old observatory. On campus, the giant telescope stood silent like a sleeping giant. The door creaked as she pushed it open. Inside, a single figure stood waiting, a human male, tall, with dark eyes that seemed to see through her. Jera, he said calmly. I've been watching your research. Who are you? She asked, her voice cautious. My name is David, he replied. "Unlike you, curious, but I'm also something more." Jera narrowed her eyes. "More? What does that mean?" David smiled gently. "You've heard of hybrids, haven't you? Well, I'm one of them." Jera gasped. She stepped back, her fingers tightening around her data tablet. "You're lying." "I thought hybrids were rumors, hidden experiments." David shook his head. "We exist, Jera. We live quietly because if others knew, they'd hunt us down or worse." "Try to replicate us." Jera stared at him. "What are you a hybrid of?" "My mother was human," he said, "but my father was not. He was from a distant species, long extinct now. Yet somehow, the bond between my parents changed my mother's. Biology. I was born different. What makes you different?" Jera asked, her voice shaky. David stepped closer, his presence warm yet strange. "I can sense emotions. Not just human ones, but from other species too. And my body, it changes slightly, adjusts, whenever I'm near someone new. That's the adaptation humans have multiplied in me." Jera's mind reeled. "So you can bond with anyone? Any species?" "Perhaps not anyone," David admitted. "But the potential is there. If the connection is deep enough, my body listens, learns, and adapts. That's the true power humans don't understand about themselves." Jera's heart pounded. "Then why tell me this? Why reveal yourself to me?" David looked at her seriously. "Because you're the first alien I've seen who asked the right questions, not out of fear, but out of wonder. And because others are watching you now. Dangerous beings who don't want this secret known." "Who?" she asked. "There are councils, secret groups across the stars," David explained. "Some want to control humans. Others want to wipe us out before we adapt too far." Jera swallowed hard. "And me? Am I in danger?" David nodded. "Yes, but I can help you. I'll show you what I am, but you must promise to keep it hidden." Jera hesitated, then nodded. "I promise." Slowly, David removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeve. His skin shimmered faintly, patterns shifting under the surface like flowing water. His veins glowed with a soft light, and his eyes flickered with an unnatural color for a moment like starlight trapped inside him. Ira gasped. "That's not human." "No," David said. "It's the legacy of both my parents. And it's why I must stay hidden. The galaxy isn't ready for what humans can become." Jera stepped closer, her eyes wide with awe. "You're living proof that humans can cross the boundaries of biology with emotions." David nodded. "Yes, but remember, Jera, this gift, this curse. It started with one thing, a connection between two beings who loved each other. Beyond biology." Jera stood in silence, staring at David's shifting patterns, understanding the true danger. If humans could connect with any species deeply enough to merge, nothing in the galaxy was safe. David's eyes met hers. "Now you know the truth. But be careful, Jera. Not everyone wants the truth out. Some would rather kill to keep it buried." Jera felt a chill run down her spine. She had started with a simple question about human males. But now she stood on the edge of a secret that could change everything, and the galaxy was watching. Jera could not sleep. After meeting David, the hybrid human, her mind felt like it was burning. She kept seeing his glowing veins, his shifting skin, the colors in his eyes that no pure human could ever have. She had come to study human biology. But now she was standing in the middle of a mystery so deep, it could reshape the galaxy itself. Yet one thing bothered her the most. How many hybrids like David were out there? She couldn't just sit still. She had to know. Jera opened her data tablet and connected to the deep galactic network, a secret corner of the galaxy's information system where researchers, outlaws, and spies shared forbidden knowledge. She typed carefully, "Human hybrids. Cross-species experiments." For a moment, nothing came up. Then, slowly, files started appearing in encrypted documents. Reports from forgotten colonies, rumors from shady scientists. One document caught her attention. It was labeled Project Nexus, the hybrid agenda. Jera opened the file. It wasn't just a rumor, it was a report written by an anonymous scientist who claimed to have been part of secret experiments involving humans and alien species. The scientist described hidden labs on distant moons where selected human males were exposed to alien females, not through force but through emotional bonding tests. The report explained that the key wasn't just DNA, it was something the scientist called the bond trigger. According to the report, when a human formed a deep emotional or psychological connection with an alien, the human's DNA began to subtly rewrite itself, preparing to merge with the alien's genetic code. Jera's hands trembled as she read. Further, the scientist warned that only certain humans had this ability more strongly, especially those with high emotional intelligence or unique brain chemistry. Some of these hybrid offspring have abilities that neither species could predict. Adaptation, emotional telepathy, biological resilience. The report ended with a chilling statement. If this power spreads uncontrolled, humans will not just coexist with other species, they will become the future of all species. Jera leaned back, her heart racing. If this was true, then David was not the only one. There could be others, hidden across the galaxy. Suddenly, a notification popped up on her screen. You have been flagged. Unauthorized access detected. Jera's eyes widened. She had been discovered. She quickly shut down her tablet, her heart pounding. Someone knew she was looking into this. Moments later, her door buzzed. She froze, fear gripping her body. Slowly, she approached and looked through the small viewer. It was David. She opened the door, slightly. How did you know I was here? David looked serious. They're watching you, Jera. I could feel it. I came to warn you. You've been marked now. Who is they? She asked, pulling him inside quickly. There's a secret organization, David whispered. A group of powerful beings from various species. They call themselves the Concord. Their mission is to monitor, control, or eliminate any hybrid threats. If they know you're searching for information, they'll come for you. Jera's breathing quickened. But why? Why hide this knowledge? Because, David said grimly, if the galaxy learns the full truth, war could break out. Some species will want to use humans as tools, breeding partners to create super beings. Others will want to wipe humans out completely to prevent that future. Jera shook her head. But that's madness. Isn't there anyone protecting hybrids? David smiled sadly. There are a few scattered across worlds, but we're not organized. We survive by hiding. Jera's mind was spinning. I read SOMETHING, a project called Nexus. Do you know about it? David's face darkened. Yes, Project Nexus was real. It was shut down, or so we thought. But whispers say the experiments never truly stopped. Some species run secret programs. Even now, trying to recreate the hybrid phenomenon. Jera sat down, exhausted. So, what do I do now? I'm just a student. David placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You have knowledge now, Jera, that makes you dangerous to them. But it also makes you important. If you want to survive, you must choose. Stay quiet and live in ignorance, or learn more, and risk everything. Jera looked into his strange, glowing eyes. Deep inside, a part of her burned with the desire to know everything, to uncover the full truth no matter the risk. I want to know more, she said firmly. David nodded. Then stay close to me. I'll show you things no alien or human has ever seen. But know this, once you start down this path, there's no going back. Jera swallowed hard. I'm ready, David smiled faintly. Then prepare yourself. Because the galaxy is not ready for what you're about to discover. As they prepared to leave, Jera knew her life had changed forever. She wasn't just studying humans anymore. She was diving into a secret war, a war of genetics, emotions, and the future of all species. ZH era followed David through the dark corridors of the city, her mind still shaken by everything she had learned. The night air was cool, but she was sweating. She felt like she had stepped into the middle of a story too big for her. David led her to a quiet, underground place beneath the university, a forgotten storage chamber turned into a safe space. It was dimly lit with soft glowing panels on the walls, and the air smelled of old stone. Inside, a small group of beings stood waiting. They were of different species, but one thing was common in all of them: their eyes carried secrets. David introduced them. These are hybrids like me, some more human, some more alien, all hiding from the galaxy. Jera looked at them amazed. She had never seen such unique beings before. One had silver skin with human-like hair. Another had bright emerald eyes and soft tendrils instead of hair. Yet another looked mostly human, but had faint glowing patterns across his skin, like starlight, trapped beneath flesh. Then David pointed to a corner where a figure sat quietly. "And this is Ethan." Jera's eyes widened. Ethan looked human, completely normal, with dark hair and sharp eyes. But the room felt different around him. There was an energy, a weight in the air that made her breath catch. "He's not a hybrid," David explained. "He's fully human. But he's special, very special." Jera stepped closer. "What makes him special?" David smiled faintly. Ethan is one of the rare human males with the highest adaptability. They call them bond catalysts." Jera frowned. "Bond catalysts," David nodded. "It means that Ethan doesn't just adapt to other species adapt to him. His presence triggers changes in beings around him. Emotional, biological, even mental shifts. It's like his very being invites connection." Jera stared at Ethan. He looked so ordinary, yet she felt drawn to him without understanding why. "Is that why the air feels heavy here?" she asked softly. "Yes," one of the hybrids replied. "Being near him changes you, even if you don't notice immediately." Ethan looked up at Jera and smiled warmly. "Don't be afraid. I don't control it, it just happens." Jera's throat was dry. "What happens if an alien bonds with you?" David answered, his tone serious. "If a bond forms with Ethan... the alien's biology may shift, unlocking new abilities, merging traits, even rewriting genetic patterns. It's unpredictable." Jera's mind spun. "So, he can create new hybrids?" "Not directly," David said. "But the connection... the feelings. They awaken something inside others. It's not forced. It only happens if the bond is real." Jera shivered. "What if the Concord finds out about him?" "They already know," Ethan said quietly. "That's why I hide. That's why we all hide." Jera felt a wave of pity and fear. How could someone live like this? Hiding just because their existence was different. Suddenly, a hybrid with silver skin spoke up. "But things are changing, Jera. The Concord is growing bolder. They are searching for people like Ethan, and now that you know, they might come for you too." Jera swallowed hard. She had wanted knowledge, but now she was entangled in a dangerous game. "Then what should I do?" she asked. David stepped forward. "You can run, pretend you never knew, or you can stay, learn with us, understand what's coming." Jera looked at Ethan, his calm face hiding the burden he carried. She looked around the room, beings hiding not because of crimes, but because of their nature. She clenched her fists. "I will stay. I didn't come across the galaxy just to run away when things get hard." David smiled approvingly. "Good. Then you need to understand something else. The Concord fears people like Ethan, not just because of hybrids, but because of what comes next." Jera raised an eyebrow. What comes next? David's expression darkened. Evolution. If enough bonds like this are formed, humans won't. Just adapt. They'll evolve into something new. Something the galaxy has never seen. A being beyond human or alien. Jera's heart thumped loudly. A new species born of connection, feelings, and choice, not just biology. Ethan looked at her softly. We're not trying to take over the galaxy, Jera. We just want to live, but others won't let us. Jera nodded slowly. Then I'll help. I want to understand more. Maybe understanding is the only way to stop the fear. David smiled. Then you're one of us now. Jera's journey had changed forever. She came as a student. But now she was part of a hidden world. A world of hybrids, secrets, and the dangerous potential of human connection. And she knew. The Concord was already watching. Jera sat in her small dorm room, staring at her data tablet. The screen glowed faintly in the dark, displaying the file she had been writing for days, her official report to the Varelian Science Academy. She had come to Earth as an exchange student, tasked with studying human biology, but what she discovered was something far beyond simple science. The file was almost complete. The title read, Human Fertility, Emotional Bonds, and Hybrid Evolution, a Dangerous Potential. She read her own words on the screen. Humans are not bound by mating seasons like most species. Human males are fertile year-round. But more important than fertility is their unique ability to adapt emotionally, mentally, and biologically. Through deep emotional connections, humans can bond with other species, triggering genetic changes that lead to hybrid offspring. This power is both unpredictable and dangerous, because if uncontrolled, it could create a new species capable of surpassing both human and alien limits. Jera sighed, her fingers hovering over the send button. If she sent this report to her homeworld, her people would know the truth. Maybe the entire galaxy would. But then, she remembered David's warning. Some knowledge is better kept hidden. Not because it's a lie, but because the galaxy isn't ready for it. She leaned back, staring at the ceiling. She had seen Ethan with her own eyes, the human male who was a bond catalyst. His very presence could awaken abilities in others. He wasn't just a human. He was the beginning of something new. But what troubled Jera most was a recent discovery. Earlier that day, David had given her a secure data drive, one that contained information stolen from the Concord's secret database. She had opened it cautiously, not knowing what she would find. What she saw shocked her. There were files labeled Project Purity, the Concord's plan to erase hybrid potential. The Concord wasn't just monitoring hybrids. They were preparing the launch missions to eliminate all hybrids and any humans capable of emotional triggered adaptations. Their goal was clear: wipe out the genetic threat before it could spread. Jera shivered. She read logs, photos, and plans for strikes on hidden colonies. There were maps of Earth and other planets where suspected hybrids lived in secret. If this plan succeeded, beings like David, Ethan, and the others would be hunted down like animals. Jera whispered to herself, they'll kill them all, just to keep control. Her eyes returned to her own report. She was torn. If she sent the report, her people might try to protect the galaxy, or they might join the Concord in fear. If she didn't send it, her homeworld would remain blind to the coming storm. Suddenly, her data tablet buzzed. A message appeared on the screen. Jera, don't send the report. We're watching. You've seen too much. Choose carefully. There was no name. But she knew it was from the Concord. They were already inside the university systems. They knew what she was writing. Her heart raced. She stood up, pacing the room, feeling trapped. The galaxy was standing on the edge of something massive. And she was holding the match that could set it all on fire. Then, she thought of David's words. We adapt because we feel. Because we connect. That's our strength, and maybe our curse. Jera made a decision. She copied her report into a hidden encrypted drive and deleted the original from her tablet. She wasn't going to send it, not yet. Instead, she sent a short, vague report back to her homeworld. Humans possess continuous fertility and complex emotional behaviors. Further study needed. Full report to follow when data is sufficient. She closed the device and sighed deeply. The truth was too heavy for one report. She needed to learn more, understand more. She couldn't risk starting a war with information understood. Suddenly, a soft knock came at her door. She opened it carefully. David stood there, his expression calm. "You didn't send it, did you?" he asked quietly. Jera shook her head. "No, but the Concord is watching. They sent me a warning." David smiled faintly. "Good. That means you made the right choice. The time will come to reveal the truth. But not yet." Jera stepped aside to let him in. "What now?" David looked at her with steady eyes. "Now. You stay with us. Learn more. We're moving to a safer place. There are others you need to meet. People like Ethan. And more hybrids with abilities you can't imagine." Jera nodded slowly. She was no longer just a student. She was now part of a hidden fight for survival and truth. As she packed her things, she looked one last time at the stars through her window. The galaxy was vast, beautiful, and dangerous. But Jera was ready. Whatever the future held, she would face it with knowledge, courage, and the hope that one day, the truth could change the galaxy. Instead of destroying it,